Kangmin Lee gets fired for condemning Loons celebrating Charlie Kirk's murderous political assassination. Now, I've heard a lot about Kangmin Lee in my little time as a content creator. He is a very passionate man. He's not based in Korea, folks. He's based in South Korea because there are two Koreas. One where you work yourself to death, and the other where you work yourself to death. There isn't really a choice. He's
What
very
is it?
passionate. Well, there is a difference, but there are two Koreas, just to let everyone know. But he is a very passionate creator. He's a very dedicated creator. He's also a religious man, very principled in his Christian beliefs, which is quite interesting given he's Korean. And he got fired from his workplace because he dared to call out people in the company who were celebrating the murderous political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now, thankfully, he's been hired by Benny Johnson, but we're going to talk about that tomorrow because we're squeezing out this topic to make two videos from. So we're going to ask Dash Attack because his character was inspired by the Orient. What does he make about the firing of Kangmin Lee?
Yeah, I follow Lee. You know, I've heard some things he says, don't agree on everything, but he is a Christian man, and so I do respect that. And yeah, he should not be fired for just being a decent person and calling out these ghoulish people celebrating the murder of someone who was just giving his opinion to some college kids. Seriously, it's so backwards. Why fire him when you have people celebrating fucking death? It's disgusting.
Well, yeah, there's a very important reason. There's a very important reason why he was fired is because of this institutional rot that I've been talking about over the past 5 weeks, in that the opposition we are facing is institutional. It's absolutely everywhere. And the only way I see that we can deal with it is we need an entirely new era, folks. These companies, these franchises, they've been around too long. If they were people, they'd be in nursing homes waiting to die. If they were people, okay? They've had their time to shine. The sun is setting on them. It's time for new, fresh, vibrant stories, ideas, and franchises to take their place. And if it's not done peaceably, you get culture wars like the one we're currently experiencing. I mean, Noise, I dare say you're the most down-to-earth person here because you don't have an army of cats in your house. You don't dress as a cat boy, and your hair isn't something out of a sci-fi novel. So what do you make of this topic?
Well, yeah, as Dash was saying, sure, they shouldn't fire him for such reasons. Obviously, I mean, no one should be celebrating an assassination. Clearly, I mean, us sane people know this, but coming down to technicalities, was he doing it on a company computer or on company time? Because really, there should be a barrier between your work life and your personal life. Sure, there's some exceptions when you're celebrating a murder. I mean, yeah, there should be exceptions like that. But otherwise, just an opinion, there should be a hard wall between, was it done on personal time on your personal computer, or was it on work equipment on work time? So if that was the case, they could have grounds to fire him, possibly. Otherwise, he might have a good lawsuit on his hand and make a lot of money off of him.
Well, I'll tell you this, folks. A level playing field is very important. This clip is 7.5 minutes long, so we're just going to use the picture. And doesn't he look handsome, Dash?
I'm more into Asian women.
Well, most Asian men can easily turn into Asian women. But in all seriousness, folks, courtesy of Kangmin Lee, who is a fine creator, quote, I was just fired from my job again for my conservative beliefs. They tried to silence me, but I won't stay quiet. Here's why I'm speaking out and what comes next. Well, we know what comes next. You got hired by Benny Johnson as part of his multimedia interstellar empire to conquer the universe. And one thing I'll say about Mr. Kang or Min or Lee, because I don't know how Oriental names work, is he has one hell of a stylish setup, which you don't really see, in front of the camera.
Oh yeah, he's got soundboards.
That's what happens when you have a dedicated studio. That's just your man cave studio, and you're keeping it that way.
Yeah,
the only other Korean who has this is Kim Jong-un, because he's the only one north of the border who can afford it. Go ahead, Dash.
Yeah, I have a bit of a setup where I have like a bunch of my consoles right next to my GeForce RTX PC. So like I've got like a bunch of different things in a similar setup, but his is a little bit cleaner and nicer.
Well, I tell you this, folks. I would have pretended to have impersonated Kangmin Lee, but I did make a promise not to change my voice during this show, because the last time I did, it nearly blew up an aspiring project, and that's the last thing that we want to do. But shout out to Kangmin Lee. We appreciate you. It's a damn shame that you got fired, but it's a great thing that he's now being hired by a stalwart within the American conservative movement. And by stalwart, I mean 1990s Bill Clinton Democrat, because that's how American conservatism works. What about you, Helzo? I know you're far away from the United States, and you're probably grateful for that. What do you make of this whole situation?
You're actually right. I had dreams of in the 90s and early 2000s when they were selling hard the American dream there. The only reason I would visit the US is to meet you guys. And I've said that before. I'll do a road trip from the south to Maine up until like the border of Canada, and I'll meet people there. But yeah, as for this topic, we've talked about this before on other shows. A cold animal is the most dangerous. And after Charlie Kirk, after these degenerates, after these soulless, I cannot bring myself to call these people human. No, I cannot. For me, if you celebrate the death of someone who just wanted to sit down and talk, no matter if you agreed with his opinion or not, he wanted to talk. He didn't want to hurt you. He didn't want to impose violence on you. He didn't want you jailed. He didn't want you killed. He didn't want you persecuted. He wanted to talk. He wanted to tell you his point of view. He was willing to listen to your point of view. If you celebrate the death of that one, and the death by assassination by one of your own degenerate people that actually had signed bullets and all the beautiful stuff like that that degenerates do when they're doing something like that. If you celebrate something like this, it means that you're showcasing all the degeneracy of your own side, the woke side. And the fact that those people who celebrated weren't condemned by the rest of them, because I stand by my opinion. There are sensible people within that culture as well. They're not that radical. You just don't hear about them because all you can see, all the loudest people are those crazy fuckers. And the whole thing is done. Like they're done. They're the after charge. They're done. They were going to be done very soon, anyways. But this just sped it up. And now firing. Sorry.
Kangmin Lee. I know it's a foreign word. Very difficult.
I forgot. My brain farted. But firing Kangmin Lee for that thing, for just daring to say, okay, be a little bit more human, you degenerates. Stop celebrating the death of someone. And being fired by management to that just showcases that they're enraged and they're trying to impose their views as much as possible as far as they can because they know it's over. I think they know it's over. I think like some of the more sensible people know that what happened basically screw them up, and now they're acting out of fear. That's going to continue to happen. They're going to try to cancel more and more people for more and more stuff. I read that they're going after Ben Johnson, Ben and Jerry, or what? Ben Johnson? Yes. Sorry, my brain is mush.
No, he's the right-wing version of Ben and Jerry's, because I'm sure Benny Johnson will one day make an ice cream called Benny Johnson's.
The fact is that they try to go after that for rehiring. Kangmin, is that like, what the hell are you trying? Like, you're advocating for someone who tried to impose sensibility of your degenerate people that you are celebrating, and you're actively against him being rehired. Why? Because he's religious?
Well, we have to consider though, Helzo, that cancel culture cannot work, because if it can work,
yes,
if a group of people can isolate you from the social discourse, from society, then they can isolate you from reality and ultimately destroy you. I mean, you look at this show. Look at the network as a concept that has been made into what it is today was as a result of a cancel culture campaign. And instead of 3 shows a week on one channel, there is 4 shows a week on 4 channels with a central hub making the videos that makes it 5 channels. Okay, folks? Also known as Operation Hydra. And it just goes to show that the effort to create cancel culture hasn't worked. Yes, you got rid of the man who started it all out, right? Woohoo. Well done. You've just created 5 more like him, who's going to inspire 5 more factions just like him.
Also, you actually you also made the neutrals go to that side, because there were a lot of people who didn't want to deal with that. They were like, I don't care. And I'm actually, in our country, I'm like that. I don't care about politics in our country. I don't generally care about politics. I care about people and what they say. I'm willing to agree with any sensible thing and anything that sounds logical, good, and humane. Doesn't matter where it comes from. But this, like, people like me in America that were like neutral, and they just didn't want to deal with that stuff. They didn't want to hear about that stuff. Well, guess what? Now they want to hear, because they have seen what atrocities you motherfuckers do, and they're gonna go to the right. Now you have a lot of more hornets to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you this, folks. Yes, this is quite the heavy topic, Empress. It's unfortunate because the network is a more topical framed show. Of course, for Dash's show, we focus on his favorite franchise, Digimon. For Noise's show,
because they had a new game and Pokemon sucks, and that's a big.
You still haven't answered my question. How does a cat turn into a dog and then turn into a fridge with a minigun?
I just got into this franchise. I literally am still learning it all out. I have 6 other shows I have to watch. I still have to beat the game.
Damn, man.
I couldn't help but notice.
Turns into an angel.
I couldn't help but notice Disgusting says they have a lot of hornets to deal with, and Dash was like, yes. And then I imagine Dash backing his ass up against somebody going, bzz, bzz, bzz.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the network you have joined, Empress, for better or for worse.
It's all good. It's all good.
I mean, from your perspective, what do you make of the fact that this prominent content creator, because Kangmin Lee is a prominent content creator who is also employed, right? I know Helzo mentioned, working conditions, what the working conditions were like. South Korean working conditions. It's really a toss-up between whether or not you want to work in North Korea or South Korea, because North Korea will break your body, South Korea will break your mind.
Disgusting, tangent kings of new age, a story